Top 5 interesting Am I the asshole questions on Reddit. Number 5. Am I the asshole for bringing up my brother's premature birth at Christmas? I am a nurse practitioner and I am the primary care provider for a lot of the low-risk maternity cases at the practice where I work. I also work hand in hand with the doctors and midwives to create a healthy maternity, birth, and postpartum situation. My fiancé is completing her residency. We live together and have for a few years now. We aren't in any hurry to get married. We originally had plans to do so a couple of years ago, but then we got really busy for 2 years. It is driving my very religious parents crazy that the youngest son is living in sin. I don't really care. I'm an adult and I do what I want. We are getting married in June. So we are visiting my parents for Christmas. The way it came together this year, everyone is at my parents' house. So that's my folks, my 3 siblings, myself and fiancé, and 7 grandchildren. So 17 people. At dinner my mom starts going on about how she is so glad that we are finally getting married and she won't be embarrassed at church anymore. And my dad says how proud he is of his 3 older kids who all either waited to get married before moving in together or got married right away after moving in together. My fiancé was getting embarrassed and I was getting mad over this stupid argument we have had too many times. And a family dinner was the last straw. I have asked them repeatedly to just accept that they cannot control how I live my life. I refuse to stay with them when I visit even if I come alone. Hotels are just easier. So I started talking about a premature baby I had been reading about. It was almost 3 months premature and weighed about 1.6 pounds. It was super strong and healthy for being born so little, and the ICU nurse had high hopes for the baby doing well. My mom and dad both got deer in the headlights looks on their faces. Too bad. Should not have fucked around with my fiancé's feelings. So I asked about my oldest brother. He was born almost 4 months premature. Is there a chance that we could check out the family album where we keep all the records of family births and stuff? I already know my brother was over 9 pounds and almost 23 inches long when he was born. My grandmother told me all about it the first time my parents tried to shame me. The subject gets changed very fast. After supper my parents told me that I should not try to embarrass them with private things that are not my concern. I told them that if I heard anything about my living arrangements ever again for the rest of my life, I would make sure to keep bringing up the fact that my mom was in her 2nd trimester when they got married. My parents are mad at me for telling them how to behave in their own home. But my fiancé is happy that they seem to be off the subject for good. Am I the asshole? Number 4. Am I the asshole for asking my ex-sister-in-law to disclose how much she got from my grandmother's will? Grandpa was an engineer with the biggest airplane manufacturer in the world. He also had several patents for navigation software. He and my grandma were loaded. When he died, my grandma used the money to control everyone. I didn't speak to my grandma for almost 10 years because of it. She also didn't approve of my lifestyle. My brother was married but he was diagnosed with a very fast-moving cancer in 2019. Grandma died in November and didn't have a funeral. Last week I got a certified letter and in it all of her assets went to my former sister-in-law and her kids. As for me, it said, for reasons known to me and discussed with my attorney, I leave my grandson $1,000. I've spoken with a lawyer and he said with the way it was worded, I could contest but it would cost a fortune, a lot of time, and I'd probably lose. I called my ex-Sil and basically asked how much she got. She said she was deeply offended by my call. That turned into a shouting match where I may have said something that sounded like I was demanding my half of the money. It makes me sick that a non-blood relative is getting that money. She hung up on me and apparently has blocked me. My mom called me only a few minutes later and said that I need to walk away and leave my ex-Sil alone. I need that money. She doesn't and certainly doesn't need my half. I've had a miserable few years and I lost my brother. This money would be life-changing to me. My mom just called me again and wanted to make sure I wasn't going to bother my Sil again. I said I was looking into my options and no way am I walking away from this. She said I've been a major dissatisfaction to her over the last years. Am I the asshole? Please be honest if you could leave that money alone because I can't and I don't know if that makes me an asshole or not. Number 3. Am I the asshole for wanting to keep my ex-husband's last name? My ex-husband, who I'll call him by his fake name Tony, and I broke up 2 years ago after 26 years of marriage. We have 4 children together. Due to the stupidity of the time and social pressure, I added my husband's last name to my name. So all my documents like identification, driver's license, passport, all credit cards, voter registration card have his last name at the end. We ended amicably even more due to the circumstances. He is gay and we divorced. Honestly, it would suck to have to change everything, go to government agencies, pay for everything new, go to the bank to change everything, so I didn't want to take out his last name, but I introduce myself by my maiden name. Only in the documents is it this name. Tony is currently engaged to a guy and they are going to get married in the next year. The situation that happened was, our son and his family decided to travel and invited me. He asked for my ID to make the reservations. A few days later, me, Tony and fiancé were at my grandson's party. Our son said jokingly in the conversation circle that he couldn't believe that until today I hadn't changed my last name. I laughed, saying that I was too lazy to rush to change everything that has this name on it. Tony started to ask if I really hadn't changed my name, if I didn't think that being engaged to someone else isn't the best time to change it, and he insisted that it was weird of me. I just replied, unless you can go in my place, spend hours and hours in lines, pay hundreds for it, I won't do it in the near future. We stopped talking and the party flowed smoothly. Later, he called me and said I was acting weird and a jerk by refusing to change the name, which he said was uncomfortable. I asked our son and he said he understands my side of not wanting to do this, but he understands Tony's side of being uncomfortable with his ex using his last name after the divorce. So I ask for an outside opinion. I don't intend to never change, I just don't want to go through it right now. Tell me, am I the asshole? Number 2. My daughter's preschool hired a new teacher's aide, early 20s female, earlier this year. My daughter adores this teacher and my wife, who is also a teacher, speaks highly of her. We just had a baby so I've been taking care of drop-off and pick-up lately and I've been able to form my own opinion of this teacher. In my opinion, she messes with the kids too much. These are all examples that I've seen. For Christmas we got every teacher a box of chocolates from a small shop near the school. The shop wrapped the boxes and they have the name of the shop on the wrapping paper. Everyone knows what it is by looking at it. My daughter ran in yelling, "We got you chocolate," and the teacher said, "Abby." It was supposed to be a surprise. She still hugged my daughter and thanked her, but I felt that the remark was unnecessary. Another time, I picked my daughter up towards the end of snack time. My daughter came up to the teacher and asked for more snack. Teacher said, "Abby, you already ate all of our snacks. If I give you more we won't have anything to eat tomorrow. You're about to go home and have dinner anyways." In my opinion, the first 2 sentences were very unnecessary. This last one just happened on Friday. Pickup ends at 4:30 and I'm guessing the teacher leaves at 4:45. I called the school and said that I was going to be late for pickup and I got there at around 4:45. When I got there, my daughter was with a little boy, whose parents had been there for 20 minutes but he was refusing to leave. My daughter was getting her stuff and I saw the teacher give the boy a spray bottle, a rag, and gloves and say, "Jack, if you want to stay, you're gonna have to clean the tables then vacuum. I have to go home and your mom can't wait forever." She went to the closet, got her stuff, and started walking to the door. His mom also started to walk away. The little boy dropped the cleaning supplies, started crying, and ran for his mom when the teacher made it to the door and his mom was out of sight. In my opinion, there had to have been a better way to get him to go than scaring the crap out of him. I get that she's joking but these kids are 3 and 4 and don't get it. My daughter has never admitted to this teacher making her upset but I still don't like how she talks to my daughter or the other kids. My wife and I were talking about the school and I said that I wanted to talk to the teacher about being nicer to my daughter and the other kids. My wife rolled her eyes at me and said that I'm starting to sound like a certain parent at her school that she and the other teachers can't stand. She said if I insist that everyone coddles our daughter then she's going to have a hard time when she's older. Am I the asshole for not liking the teacher and wanting her to be nicer? Number 1. My dad passed away 2 weeks ago. Me, my wife, Candace, and my daughter, 16, Shiloh, and her stepsisters, 19 and 17, flew to my hometown to attend the funeral. After that we got 2 hotel rooms, one for me and Candace, one for the girls. While I was in the room, I got a call from Shiloh at 11 p.m. crying and sounded like she was arguing with her stepsisters. I asked what the matter was and she told me that her stepsisters insisted that she sleep on the floor. There were one large bed in the room and there was enough space for all 3 girls to sleep on. I asked why and she said she didn't know. I went to see what the issue was and talked with my stepdaughters about it. They kept talking but didn't really explain why they told her to sleep on the floor. They just shrugged and said, "It's better this way, we're more comfortable this way." I told Shiloh to grab her things and when one of my stepdaughters asked where we were going, I told her I was booking her a hotel room. Both looked upset but didn't say anything, but they must have called their mom because she was awake when I got back and started arguing with me about giving Shiloh an entire hotel room for herself. I explained why I did it but she said I wasted money and that Shiloh could have sucked it up for one night on the floor. I called her unreasonable for saying this but she told me I showed the girls that I'm playing favorites, and made my stepdaughters share a room while I gave my daughter an entire room for herself. We went home and Candace is still bringing it up saying I mishandled this. She even pointed out how my stepdaughters are upset since they're not speaking to me. AmITheA, it was Candace who got a room for the 3 girls as to not stir any drama and save money. She was in charge of hotel reservations since I was emotionally distressed. Also, Candace did not expect Shiloh to sleep on the floor. She wanted all 3 girls to share the bed. Am I the asshole? Please like and subscribe for more scintillating Am I the asshole content.